Great Spirit, O infinite, infinite Lord of stillness, O ye powers that be, the air, the earth, the fire, the water, the ether, most beloved and precious Lord of life, in all of thy names and all of thy forms, Namaste. Ancestors, we honor thee. Beloved teachers, we honor thee. O ye powers that be, we honor thee. Sweep clear our path. May we see today that which needs to be seen, hear that which needs to be heard, and act with ever greater wisdom. Om Shri Ravi Vanamaha, Om Shri Chandraji Vanamaha, Om Shri Mangala Ji Vanamaha, Om Shri Bodhi Ji Vanamaha, Om Shri Brihaspati Ji Vanamaha, Om Shri Sukra Ji Vanamaha, Om Shri Sani Ji Vanamaha, Om Shri Rahu Ji Vanamaha, Om Shri Ketu Ji Vanamaha, Om Shri Uranus Ji Vanamaha, Tun Ji Vanamaha, Om Shri Pluto Ji Vanamaha, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti. Namaste. Welcome. Welcome to our Sunday Sangha. Welcome to my heart. There once lived a king. Very wise, very, very wise king. He ruled with wisdom, with compassion, with love. So much so that all of the other lords, the other kings and the other kingdoms around him admired him. They followed his lead, if you will. Gently he led. One day one of them was getting ready to leave the earth, and he thought, now who should I leave my kingdom to? Who's the wisest? Ah, my friend. Ah is the wisest. And so he called all his counselors together and he left his kingdom to King Ah. Shortly after, another king was getting ready to leave the earth. Same thing, called all his counselors. I'm going to leave my kingdom to Ah. No fighting, no fighting. Everybody was very happy because the people were happy. They lived in a kingdom that was ruled by Ah. He cared for them. He was compassionate. He was understanding. So you can see in a very short time, Ah ruled the lands as far as he could see. All was in peace and harmony. Wise, wise, wise man. Except he had one flaw. Now, you might say, well, somebody that's that good, what harm would one flaw be? Well, I don't know. I'll tell you. It was a big flaw. He had a blind spot. You and I, we have these. We don't know them, but we have them. And so did King Ah. What was that blind spot? One day, well into his reign, a son was born to King Ah and Queen E. King Ah and Queen E were so happy. They had a son. They had a child. They were happy. They would have been happy, boy or girl, but it was a boy. They were so happy. They got together and they said, we must do everything we can to make him happy. We must give him everything he wants. They were so filled with emotion and so overcome with their emotion that they didn't hear what they were saying. The king made a proclamation through the land. Our son is born, and he must be given, all of his desires must be met. Anything he wants, he is to be given. At no cost. No, cost is no object. Well, it's fine when you're a baby and you're crying and the nurse comes in and gives you a bottle. You see a piece of food and they give you the food. But as you grow and you want, and you see your friend's toy, as the prince did, Prince I, we will call him for the moment. I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. And it was given to him. And at first he was a happy child. He was just happy. He was happy, And then as he grew malcontent in a sense, I guess. Hard to find the right word to describe him. He was still a nice fellow. He picked up the personality of his mom and dad, and he was nice. But there was a part of his personality, too, that was blind, and it was this avarice, this greed. For everything his eyes set upon, he wanted to possess. Everything he saw, he wanted to possess. He wanted his clothes to be more and bigger and grander, his jewels to be more and bigger and grander, his horses to be more and bigger and grander, his house to be more and bigger and grander. And so while he was kind and compassionate, he had a gap, a lack in his learning. And that lack was he did not know how to control this desire that came from his mind, because it was never disciplined. Mom and dad and all the courtiers, all of his friends, all of his family, they gave him everything that he wanted. The years rolled by. King Ah transitioned. Queen E transitioned. And now I was the king of all these kingdoms that had been living in peace and tranquility. Well, King I had not been trained as well as his dad. He hadn't picked up a lot of what his dad is. But he knew one thing. He had power. He knew that he had always had the power to get what he wanted. And now it was magnified. He could have anything he wanted. Anything he wanted. But in all these years, there had grown this seed, if you will, of uncertainty within him. He didn't know if people really liked him. He didn't really feel accepted for himself. He knew that he could have everything he wanted, but every once in a while, this little doubt would crawl into the pit of its stomach and kind of just sit there and think, I wonder what they really think of me. And to overcome it, he decided he was going to make sure that his castle was bigger and better and grander than anybody had ever imagined in all of the universes. And then they would know that he was the best king in all of the universes. And everyone would accept him. Everyone would love him. Everyone would approve of him, because they would know that he was the best. So he sends a call off to Vishvakarma. Vish will call him for the story. Vishvakarma, the great celestial architect. Now, if you think that King I could want things, Vishvakarma could design and build the most beautiful structures in all of the universes. Everything he set his eyes to, everything he set his mind to, was exquisitely beautiful and perfectly suited for the person that he built for. So he came to your house and you had a beautiful zendo. Everything was simple. The gardens were beautiful. The rocks were raked perfectly. The halls were beautiful. The soji screens shut softly and opened to the gardens with cherry trees that blossomed always. Or he built you a grand castle with 1,000 rooms that you could wander in from day to day to day, different carved statues, different gold and mirrors and walls filled with jewels and art and sculpture. Vishkarm knew how to touch the soul of the person. He knew how to say, oh, I see. Yes, that is Darshanananda. Darshanananda would like, and he would create it. There's Margopaliananda. I know just the perfect thing for her. This is what she would like. And it would be manifest. Nice guy to have on your court, right? Immensely patient. So, King I calls Vishvakarma. Uh-oh. Vishvakarma walks in. He can see that he has a problem. He's not quite sure how to deal with it, but he's never seen anyone with this lack. He looks around and there's every imaginable thing is in the palace. So, King I begins, and he says, I would like this added. Of course, Your Majesty, and it's done. I would like this added, and it's done. I would like this added, and it's done. I would like this added, and 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 this added. And before you know it, there's gargoyles all over the place. There's halls filled, dripping with gold statues. There's candelabras every place. There's gems, 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 gems. The floors, the ceilings, the walls coming out with gems. There are square rooms and round rooms and triangular rooms and stairways to get you from one room to the next. And it is a cacophony. Quite ugly, in fact. Almost impossible for Vishvakarma to make something that was quite ugly, but he was trying so hard. And after this had gone on for an hour, just an hour, Vishvakarma is very efficient. He says, I'm sorry, King I, but really, I'm getting very tired. This has to stop. I mean, look, you know, all these lands, this beautiful place that your father had left you, and look what's happened. No, there must be more, there must be more. So, Vishvakarma goes on for another 10 minutes and comes back and says, I'm sorry, I need to take a break. I'm a union architect. Gotta take a break. I'll be right back. So, he goes up to the heavens and he says to Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva, he calls the three brothers together and he says, we've got a problem. Or rather, I have a problem. And when I have a problem, my Lord, it means the world is out of balance. I cannot continue to create beauty for you when everything is out of balance. Have you paid attention to what happened down there? Over there, up there, with King I? Oh. promises, don't worry about it. I'll come and take care of it. And Vishnu says, I don't know, you can't go on your own. And Shiva says, I'll be there to help. So off they go, the three brothers, disguised, of course, as helpers of Vishvakarma. So you can see it. Vishvakarma comes back into the palace, and he has three little helpers, young boys. And as soon as they get in, the first one gets introduced. They're all introduced to the king. Right? As soon as they come in the room, the first little boy, little Brahma, takes a nice, sweet drop of honey from his pocket. One little drop. Places it right on, drops it right on the floor from his finger. Vishvakarma just smiles. Nobody notices. And all of a sudden, into the room comes an ant. Now, King Eye has pretty good eyes. Did you bring an ant into the castle? He says to, oh, no, I just brought some honey, Your Majesty. I didn't bring an ant. And a nanosecond of talking, there's 2 ants, then 3 ants, then 4 ants, then thousands of ants. And in the doorway, the whole floor is filled with ants. And they come towards the honey, right towards the chair, the throne chair of the king. They fill the walls, they're magical ants, and they fill the ceilings. They cover the curtains. They fill the doorways. They fill the windows. They fill the lights. And you hear their little chanting. Little chanting. What are they saying? What are they saying? Well, they start to disappear and more come, and Vishnu says, excuse me, I'll help here. We want to get an accurate count. And Vishnu takes a little honey from his finger and drops it. And all of a sudden, those that were disappearing stop. And more and more and more ants come into the room until they have piled themselves into an anthill that is filling the entire throne room and going out into these massive halls. And you can see with your mind's eye that they have filled the castle. What then is this? What have you done, Vishvakarma? What have you done? I invite you into my palace, and look, what have you done? No, Your Majesty. What have you done? My brothers and I are here to show you, Lord Shiva says. You cannot contain a lack that is within you. All of these, hundreds of thousands of millions of billions of ants as you see them. These, my Lord Indra, are all of the Lord Indras before you. All of those who have tried to fill their castles with gold, to dream their dreams, to take over the universe, to have their needs met. All of these are you. All of these are souls just like you, who became the king, who became King Indra, Lord Indra, each one of these. Om Namah Shivaya. And with that, the ants disappeared. Lord Shiva having done his job. Oh, wow. King Indra sat back on the throne and said, he just looked at Vishwakarma. Really? Really? And at Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva? Really? Lord Brahma, Indra, thou art the creative one. What the mind creates, you manifest. Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu, and I sustain for you for as long as I'm able. And Lord Shiva, until I come along and dissolve it away for you. Now, meditate upon that. The same, again and again and again and again. Nothing new, Indra. Nothing new. Every desire you've had before. Every desire you've had, all these billions of ants have had before. Every castle you built, they've built before. Every gem that you've extracted from Mother Gaia, they've extracted before. Every kindness you've given to another, they have too. Every hurt you've given to another, they have too. Every greed you've had, they have had too. And thus you have also. What then is this? Rub, rub, rub. No mirror, no mind. What then is this? With that, the three brothers returned to heaven, winking at Vishwakarma and saying, good luck with this one. Good luck. We'll see you later. And Vishwakarma sits down with Lord King Indra and says, do you hear the echo? My lord, can you hear the echo in the walls? The echo of all those Indras? Do you hear it? Yes, 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 I hear. That is the sound which has existed always. It never began. It never ends. It radiates in all of the universes. You just must be quiet and listen for it, my Lord. Everything that all these Indras built, all the castles, they're decayed. They're old, they're musty, they're falling apart, or they fall apart and they're being built in pieces back again. That room that you like so much with all the books in it, that you acquired in all these languages from all these places, you call it a library. It has been formed and dissolved and formed and dissolved. again and again and again and again. Now, I wish I could tell you that King Indra, the billionth, was immediately remorseful and changed his personality. But that's for another story. That didn't happen. What did happen was he was shocked. And he was offended. Oh, he was offended, very offended. How can you say that there were all these Indras? And Vishvakarma says, my lord, would you like me to have Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva come back and invite the ants again so you could rest in their company until you remember? No, that's not necessary. Don't be so rude to me. Therefore, you have to remember, he was poorly raised. They failed him. The mother and father, they failed him. They failed him, as so many mothers and fathers, without knowing, fail their children. Why did they fail him? How did they fail him? They forgot to teach him to discipline his untamed mind. They forgot that from a very early age they could have taught him to concentrate. They could have taught him to meditate. They could have taught him to be generous, to give of his time, his talents, his efforts to life. They could have taught him to become compassionate towards others. But alas, they did not. Because they thought they were doing him a favor by giving in and giving in and giving in and giving in. And thus he sat for many days, many nights, awake, tossing and turning, trying to understand what now must be done. What must be done? Unfortunately, he had a teacher who came and began to share ancient wisdom with him. And he learned the art of self-discipline. And in time, Ananda poured forth upon him. And he found samadhi. He found enlightenment. Now, my beloved, what does this have to do with you and me? I'm sure your parents raised you very well. I'm sure they gave you everything that they knew to give you. But so often we come into the world and our parents don't know. Or our karma is such that we don't hear it. And we miss the directions. We miss the opportunity to learn what to do when the emotions rise in the mind. We have a very simple practice in Kriya, and it's called the neti, neti, neti practice. N-E-T-I, N-E-T-I, N-E-T-I. It's a Sanskrit word. And when the word is repeated, the first time it means, I'm not this thought. The thought that's risen in your mind. The I want thought. Or the I am thought. And the second neti is, I'm not the thought, thinking this thought. And the third neti is, I am not thought. Now, you might think, well, that's nice. You say, sit down and meditate, and you say, neti, neti, neti. A thought rises, and you say, neti, neti, neti. A thought rises, and you say, neti, neti, neti. But what happens if you treat your mind like a child of 7 years old, perhaps, and you follow the wisdom of one of my disciples, a disciple I'm very blessed and honored to have shared a life with. She has a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. And she decided to teach them neti, neti, neti. Not because it was a nice thing to do, but because the oldest child would become upset, emotionally upset, and didn't know what to do with her emotions. And she would cry a lot. And she was a happy child. She's a happy child, but she would cry and cry uncontrollably and just become desperately sad, very, very sad, as many children do. And as children do when they're faced with living in the earth, getting adjusted to the earth, trying to figure out how to deal with the earth, trying to figure out how to deal with all the others here, trying to figure out how to use this. Oh, it's enough to make anybody cry in the beginning. And then later on also. It is a lot to learn to live here successfully. And so she taught her beautiful little girl, well, if she would just say neti, 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 maybe she would feel better. So when the daughter was crying, they'd say neti, neti, neti together. And after a bit of a sobbing and hiccups, you know how those cries go, you know, the ones that you can't stop, you know, they're just taking over your whole body. Dee would calm down. Oh, she would stop crying. She would, you know, the crying would stop a little bit and she would stop. And her mom would say, well, do you feel better? Yeah, I do feel better. Now, it didn't work like that all the time, all right? In fact, sometimes the little girl would say, I don't want to say neti, neti, neti. I don't want to say it. No, it's not going to do any good. She'd keep crying. All right, well, you know, if you want to, it's there for you. With kindness, with compassion, with understanding. If you want it, it's there for you. Other times, Dee would come home from school and say, you know, Mommy, this happened, and I was so upset, but then I remembered and I said neti, 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 and I felt better. And so, what's happened? I think this has been going on 18 months, 2 years, something of that nature. And now, the little girl has a tool. When her mind becomes upset, she has a tool. When her mind becomes upset, she has some action to take. Mom didn't say, don't be upset. Mom didn't say, oh, just be quiet, or, oh, I understand, but you know, here, let me give you a popsicle or a piece of candy or something. No, no. Mom didn't even say, let me give you a hug, although she did hug her. She did, you know, touch her and tell her it was going to be okay and try to calm her that way. She gave her something to do. This is Kriya Yoga, the yoking of the mind and the body. Kriya, the action that we take to bring that mind and body together in peace and equanimity, bring it back to balance. This is the actions that we take to fill the lack that we have in our being. For all of us have a lack, whether your lack is the need to feel accepted, or the lack being lack of feeling accepted, whether the lack is that you feel that you're not good enough, or you're not smart enough, or the world is against you. Kriya helps you to find the ways, the techniques that woven together bring you the skills that you need, so that when you're sobbing, crying, and you're 7 years old, you can do something to help yourself. Now I know there are no sobbing, crying 7-year-olds here, not in your physical body. But I also know that the mind can be a sobbing, crying 7-year-old a lot of times, my beloved. A lot of times. And so we need to stop, like Lord Indra did, and say, well, what's going to fill me? What's not going to fill me? What have I been doing again and again and again and again that is not working? What can I change? What small change can I make that will improve my life at this moment and improve my life going forward? The mind of a 7-year-old, 5-year-old, a 7-year-old is really at a key age of development. We are beginning our separation from the mind of the parent into an awareness of the mind of the self in this life. 7 is the first period of separation. Now, the Saturn square, if you will, for those astrologers. But what does it mean about you? Well, it means that one needs to take a look at one's mind and say, well, what part of my mind is 7? What part of my mind is unruly? What part of my mind, my behavior, needs help? What part of my behavior needs to be consoled? What part of my behavior needs to be trained? I found it absolutely marvelous that this beautiful soul picked up the teaching of Neti 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 and shared it with her children. If she doesn't teach them anything else, she's taught them that. What a great gift. And I know she's taught them plenty of other things. I'm not saying that she hasn't, because I know that she has. But what's the problem for us, right? Now, I'm going to share something, and I want to say that I'm doing this to give my mother merit, all right? My mother, who is no longer on the earth, Connie was her name, a beautiful, beautiful soul, my adopted mother. Love her very much. But we all have karma, and Mom did. And one day, when I was fairly young, she turned to me and said, all seriousness, honey, you must stop being so happy. You are going to be terribly disappointed if you walk through life like that. I might have been 11, maybe 12. But I was shocked. I had been singing. I had been walking through the house singing, and which I used to do a lot as a young child. I'd skip and sing a lot before the world changed for a moment in time. I took that in my heart. It was hurt. I hurt because of it. And it shifted things in my life. I thought, I thought I was supposed to be happy. I thought it was all right to be happy. I thought it was the thing to do to be happy. I thought it was good to be happy. Well, a few breaths after that, in the blink of an eye, I was sitting at the feet of my guru. At the very back of his temple, as far away from him as I could get without running out the door. I was trying it out and wanted to see if it was going to work or not. Didn't want to commit myself. And the first thing he said on that first Sunday, the very first thing in his teaching that he said was just be happy. Be happy. Just be happy. And my mind reared up its head and said, that's a fine thing for you to say. Screaming at him across the room psychically. You can be happy, not me. You don't have. In my mind, I shouted out all the things that I had that made it impossible for me to be happy. He said it 3 times in a row. And he went on. I have no idea what else he said. During the same hour again, he said, be happy. Just be happy. Just be happy. If it's snowing, be happy. If it's raining, be happy. If the sun is out, be happy. If you're with someone you love, be happy. If that person has left the earth, be happy. Just be happy. I went back, as you can see. And again and again and again over the years, he kept saying, just be happy. And I went from the back of the back door to the middle of the room until I was sitting right at his feet. At his feet at the front of the room. Hearing again and again and again, just be happy. And one day, after a meditation, sitting at his feet, and I had been in deep meditation and came out as he was ending the meditation with, just be happy. And I thought, well, I'll be darned. I'll be darned. I am. At this moment, I am really content. I'm really happy. I'm really happy. It took a few breaths to get up there. It took a few breaths to be happy. And I'm saying to you today, be happy. Just be happy. Allow yourself to fill that lack within you. Allow yourself to use the neti, neti, neti practice to fill the lack. Allow yourself to realize that your mom, your dad, your grandmother, your grandfather, your teachers, your gurus, they all do the best that they can. They could. We're all doing the best that we can. And sometimes we speak words that stick in the memory for a long, long time. And they help or they hurt. But my beloved, if somebody has spoken to you a word that has hurt, it is you who must heal that hurt. It is you. You are Aham Brahmasmi. You are the creative principle. You are the one who heals the hurt for yourself. You know, you don't need to go outside looking for others' approval. Go in, ascend upward, find the divine within you, and fill that lack. Train that untamed mind that is like the 7-year-old going into big gulping sobs. And if the body goes into big gulping sobs, okay, so be it. Let it. And then when it's released that energy, turn in, ascend upward, and find santosha, find contentment, find peace in that moment, in this moment. And realize, like the prince who became Lord Indra, the king of those universes, there must come a time when you stop creating, when you stop trying to fill the lack with things. Thoughts are things. Oh, and heaven help us. Books are things. And even these, we must stop trying to fill our life with. We must turn inward and ascend and ascend and ascend and ascend. And in that moment, be happy. And happiness simply is a state of consciousness in which there is no desiring. If you wish, be filled with Anandic bliss, is really the mystical way to say it. Just be filled with bliss of being. You and I, we have worked very hard to incarnate on the earth plane. You have worked very hard. I know I have worked very hard to incarnate here. It is a plane of great blessing, for it is here that we can concentrate the energies of our mind stuff and bring them together in single pointedness. It is here that we can concentrate and meditate. Once we gain the skill of concentration, we can then meditate. And then we can remember who and what we are. It is in this plane of existence, of consciousness, that we have choices. Now, we won't debate whether we have free will or not. That's an interesting philosophical debate. However, it is the plane of karma, of earth karma is on this plane. What we create here, we have to solve here. We can solve it mentally, we can solve it verbally, or it has to be solved physically. Soften every piece of karma that you can. Much easier to soften it mentally. Before you say the cruel thing. Duct tape it, as my guru would say. Put some duct tape on, Swamiji, and take it off when you've controlled the mouth. And there are times, and we are coming up on one of them. This week we have a lunar eclipse in Scorpio, Friday of this week. And it will make some aspects to Mars and to Uranus. And the moon, of course. And it may be a day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, when your mouth wants to run off a little bit. You know how that is? Got great self-control until the aspect comes by and you're going, and Joe comes over going, and you're like, netty, 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 netty. No. Know the timing. When the time comes that there's going to be irritation, zip it. Zip this. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Become quiet ahead of time. We are now entered into a Pluto station point. What does that mean? Well, it means that the great planet Pluto, which really rules our subconscious mind, our unconscious mind, is sitting still. And it's in our living room, if you will, just sitting, not passing through the house, just kind of sitting and making his presence known. And in doing so, you may find memories of the past arise. Joyful, not so joyful. Those deep hidden desires that you have may arise. Joyful, not so joyful. Disappointments can arise. And memories of things that you've done well, that you've succeeded at, can arise. But it is a time to always go back to the words of the Bhagavad Gita. Lament not for that which ceases to be. Be present now, my beloved. Find happiness now. And if, like me, you were told by someone you loved that it wasn't possible, that you didn't deserve to be happy, if somebody said your nose was too big, or they didn't like the color of your eyes, or they didn't like the color of your hair, or as somebody said to me in Spain one time,
pointing to this color. You know, we don't do that here. I can get you a place to color it. You know, those are nice things people say. You say neti, neti, neti. Let go of it. It's my responsibility. Your responsibility for you to say, I hear your voice. I bless you. Be gone. For I can be happy. I can be content. I will find wisdom in my life. I am becoming happier every day of my life. As you are, I hope. Give me a minute. Just be happy. Be happy. Just be happy. With all of the Yoga City of my Guru, with all of the years of him saying that to me like a mantra, again and again and again. At this moment, I give it to you. With the blessing of the lineage, with the blessing of the Guru. You see his beautiful picture on the altar, there on the right. Swami Pranananda, smiling beautifully. Just be happy, my beloved. Now let us meditate. Focusing your attention at the sun center. Turn your head to the left with the resurrection breath, exhaling twice. Bring the head back to the center. Begin to watch the breath. And let us chant this beautiful mantra together. I will chant it for you once. And the mantra is this. Aham Brahmasmi. This mantra means Aham, I am, Brahmasmi, the creative one. As we chant this, know within every cell of your being that you and you alone, have the capacity to bring happiness into your life. For you and you alone create your life. Let us begin. I will chant and then let you repeat. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Aham Brahmasmi. O ye powers that be, pour forth thy blessings upon us. Sweep clear the path, soften the karma upon all these souls, that the way may be cleared, that we might see that which needs to be done and act with ever greater wisdom. O ye powers that be, join with us as we send forth our blessings to those in need. And we will use the Om Shanti mantra. As we chant the Om Shanti mantra, feel the golden light of Ananda radiating forth from your sun center towards those for whom we are praying. We send our meditative energies to them, that as they need them, they will receive them in the way that is most harmonious for each soul. For all of those who are lonely, who feel lack, who feel fear, we send forth these blessings, O Lord. Bring them that which they need. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. For those who are confined, who are confining others, who are in wars, who are in opposition to others, may there be peace. May they have that which they need for the highest good. May the hardened hearts be dissolved away, O Lord. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. O Lord, for those who are thirsty, who are hungry, who are in need of life nourishment, please send unto them. Fill their thirst, fill their hunger, nourish them. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Oh, my Lord, for all of those who are entering the earth plane and for their helpers, may their way be cleared. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. For those who are leaving the earth plane and their helpers, may their way be cleared. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. For those who are in need of medical help, whose bodies are in need of healing, whose bodies are in need of help, send them that which they need at this moment. Ease the pain, ease the fear, ease the concerns. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. In your mind's eye, see the golden light pouring upon Mother Gaia, filling her, healing her, supporting her, strengthening her. Send forth your blessings and your gratitude to Mother Gaia as she allows us to live our lives in this incarnation upon her, within her blessed presence. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. Namaste. Thank you for the blessing of your presence. Thank you for your spiritual Yoga City and support, for being here today and for joining us in this meditation. Namaste.